Concepts of ABA. Hi, my name is Avery Allen and I'm a BCBA LBA in Northern Virginia. I have been working in the field of ABA for about 6 years now and supervising for over 2 years. If you are interested in learning more about my consultation services, supervision services, or want to schedule a time to chat, please reach out to me via email. What is ABA? ABA is a science that focuses on improving and changing human behavior. It is based on the idea that behaviors occur in the context of an individual's environment and are controlled by specific events within that environment. ABA is used for creating behavior change, targeting difficult or inappropriate behaviors, providing alternative behaviors, and teaching new skills. There are a wide variety of people that use ABA, including BCBAs, RBTs, parents, teachers, caregivers, etc. Anyone can benefit from ABA, although it is typically used to assist those with autism spectrum disorder and those who engage in difficult or dangerous behaviors. ABA is used to teach skills and to fill in knowledge gaps. Common intervention. Reinforcement involves changes made to the environment. Something is added or something is removed. Reinforcement always increases the frequency of the targeted behavior in the future. There are two types of reinforcement, positive and negative. Both increase future frequency of behavior. However, positive reinforcement occurs when a behavior is followed by something, so something is added. And negative reinforcement occurs when a behavior is followed by a removal of something, so something is taken away. Examples of positive reinforcement include edibles, activities, and social interaction. Examples of negative reinforcement include lowering the intensity of something or taking breaks. Tips for using reinforcement effectively include using it immediately, making sure it's contingent on a specific behavior, matching the level of reinforcement to the level of work or demand that the client is doing, and offer a variety. Differential reinforcement is used to increase a desired behavior and decrease an undesired behavior at the same time. It's used by reinforcing only the appropriate behavior or response that we wish to increase and applying extinction to all other responses. There are three main types of differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement of alternative behavior is when reinforcement is provided when another more appropriate behavior is engaged in or observed. For example, providing a snack or reinforcement when a child appropriately asks for a snack using their words. Differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors is when reinforcement is provided when another more appropriate behavior is engaged in that is incompatible with the inappropriate behavior. For example, praising a child for walking appropriately in the hallways instead of running. And lastly, differential reinforcement of other behavior is providing reinforcement as long as the inappropriate behavior does not occur. For example, if we're targeting aggression, praising a child for engaging with other people and not engaging in aggression. Let's review. Does positive reinforcement increase or decrease the future frequency of behavior? Increase. Reinforcement as a whole increases the future frequency of a behavior. The positive or negative aspect has to do if something is added or taken away from the environment. The process of removing reinforcement from a behavior that has been previously reinforced is called extinction. For example, no longer providing attention for a child who is crying to obtain attention when you previously would have responded is an example of. An extinction burst is an increase in frequency and intensity of an undesired behavior, and it occurs when extinction is initially implemented. It occurs because the behavior has previously worked to obtain reinforcement, and the child is trying harder to obtain what they need. This is a video example of an extinction burst. Spontaneous recovery is when a behavior suddenly begins to occur after previously being put on extinction. If the response remains consistent, the behavior will decrease again. Chaining and task analysis. This is when a sequence of responses is used as a cue for the next response. For example, when teaching adaptive living skills like washing hands, brushing teeth, or getting dressed. Task analysis is used to break down the task and teach steps within the chain independently. There are three main types of behavior chaining: backward chaining, forward chaining, and total task chaining. Let's review. Does an extinction burst happen close to the initial change in reinforcement or after the behavior has been decreased for a longer period of time? An extinction burst happens soon after the initial behavior change. A delayed reaction that occurs after the behavior has been decreased is called a spontaneous recovery. Motivation and response effort. An environmental variable that changes the reinforcing and/or punishing effectiveness of a stimulus while also changing the frequency of the behavior previously reinforced by the stimulus or event is a motivating operation. For example, being hungry increases the motivation to ask for a snack, making it more likely that someone would ask for a snack if they were hungry versus someone who was not. There are several ways to create motivation. You can practice a naturally occurring skill, such as asking for a snack, asking for toys, taking turns during a game, waiting for attention if a parent is talking to another adult or on the phone. Put highly preferred toys in a closed box or out of reach so they need to ask for help, or place highly preferred items within eyesight and remind them that it's available if they ask appropriately. Using motivation effectively. It's important to take advantage of naturally occurring situations that motivate an individual. For example, if an individual is hungry, use that situation to have them practice asking for a snack. A response effort is the amount of effort it takes one to respond to a demand. The response effort needs to match the reinforcer being provided. It will differ for each individual, as well as it can differ depending on the time of day, their mood, etc. It's important because if the individual isn't motivated, or if they feel that the request is too difficult, they will not complete your request. We need to match difficult and new tasks with highly preferred and frequent reinforcement. Functions of behavior. ABCs of behavior. So A is the antecedent and it's what happens immediately before the target behavior. B, behavior, is what is happening. C, consequence, is what happens immediately after the behavior. The ABCs of behavior are used to determine the function of the behavior. A single behavior can also have multiple functions. This is an example of ABC data recording. The setting event is Sally playing on her iPad. The antecedent is Mom asking Sally to put her iPad away. The behavior, Sally screams, cries, throws the iPad, and hits Mom. The consequence, Mom ignored Sally, picked up the iPad, and continued cooking. This is a video example of a tantrum. In the previous video, what was antecedent? Being told it was time for bed. Although the child was also upset when she was denied access to the movie, the true antecedent is being told it is time for bed. The child tries to negotiate a movie rather than get ready for bed. There are four main functions of behavior. The first two, attention and tangible. Attention is when behavior is used to gain attention, whether it's positive or negative from another person. Tangible is when behavior is used to gain access to a tangible item like food, a special toy. The second two functions of behavior are escape and automatic. Escape is when behavior is used to postpone or avoid a less preferred event. An automatic function would be a behavior that's maintained by internal outcome rather than another person's action or reason. Why do we need to know the function? So identifying a behavior's function allows for a proper intervention to be determined, and we know why the behavior is happening. All behaviors serve a purpose. As long as the behavior continues to be reinforced, it will continue to occur. Here's an example. Every time she is hungry, Debbie begins to scream. When her mom hears the screaming, she immediately responds by talking to Debbie, asking her what she wants, and provides her with a snack. What is the function of Debbie's behavior? What is she trying to obtain? Debbie's screaming behavior is maintained by obtaining of tangible and most likely attention. We need to identify an intervention to target screaming for those functions. If she was screaming to escape cleaning her room, we would need a different intervention. Data collection. Measuring behavior. When we're measuring behavior, we need to use operant definitions. An operant definition is a clear, concise definition of how to measure a target behavior. We typically measure behavior as their frequency, their intensity, and their duration. We need to establish a baseline, and we need to introduce intervention and treatment. Data collection is used to determine whether or not a behavior has occurred, and if there's been a change in behavior over time. There are many different ways to record behavior. We can compare intervention data to baseline data. Data is typically recorded when skills are done independently, plus, or errored or required prompting, minus. Prompting. It's an added stimulus that increases the probability that a correct response will be made. And there are 6 types: physical, verbal, modal, gestural, visual, and positional. When we start prompting, there's a hierarchy. The most intensive prompt is a physical prompt, and then we transition to less intensive prompts: gestural, positional, visual, modeling, and the least intrusive prompt is verbal. Considerations when using prompting. Make sure you prompt immediately. Try not to allow errors to occur. Start with more intrusive prompts and fade gradually. Provide higher levels of reinforcement when a response is unprompted. When correcting an error, use the least intrusive prompt possible. Sample data. This is an example of how you could record data. The target behavior is answering questions with one word. A plus means that the child answered the question with one word independently, and the minus means that they required prompting to answer. Data is typically presented in graphs. It makes the data easier to show and read, as well as identify visual progress or lack of progress. The x-axis is the unit of time, and the y-axis is the behavior that was recorded. Here is an example of graphing. Thank you for attending this training. If you have any questions, you can find me at the email listed below, or you can reach MDA Africa at their email.